So welcome back to another episode, and I gotta admit something, I've been getting quite excited lately talking about the TurboGrafx Mini. It's made me kind of go back to the past and remember how much I love the PC Engine. I'm a super fanatic of this machine, and it kind of did some crazy things to me because all of a sudden I start to think about the Super Grafx right here. Now, I gotta say, I dug up my review. I did a review on the Super Grafx 11 years ago on the channel. And what's amazing is I was able to find the footage of that from back then, and it was all 1080p. But back then on YouTube, it was like 480, 720 that you could get up onto YouTube. They didn't have a 1080p function back then. That's how many years ago it was now. And I was looking at my review and I watched it and I was like, I really would like to update my review. I'd really like to talk about it now with my modern style. It was very novel how I did it back then, and very hilarious to see the bandana once again from back 11 years ago. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the Super Grafx. I'm going to do a talk about it and an unboxing, and we're going to look at all the games. We're also going to talk about how some of the prices have changed over time. So here we go. Here is the Super Grafx. Have many of you seen this before? I first saw this in a New Type magazine in 1989. I was a fan of the PC Engine. Here's the original PC Engine from Japan. And if I take this off right here, we can see the PC Engine and the CD-ROM attachment. Now, the PC Engine here could play credit card sized games, and you could add a CD-ROM attachment to it, and it was great stuff. The graphics and everything were amazing. Now, the TurboGrafx was based off these guys right here. Had to give it a little bit of a history lesson there. Also, there were some other really ridiculous PC engines that were released, different models, we'll say. Here, I'll wipe up the dust here. Here is the PC Engine Shuttle. It's a regular PC Engine, but it is in the shape of a shuttle. And this was to appeal to younger audiences. So I've always thought this was so fascinating. Here is the machine. You hook up the controllers in the back and the power cord in the back, and you put your game cartridges right here in the front. And here's the power switch on and off. And what a strange machine that is. And I really like this. Now it brings us to the Super Grafx. What is this machine all about? Well, this was supposed to be the continuation to the PC Engine. The sequel, per se. This should have been the PC Engine 2. How did it do? How well did it do? Terribly. This bombed incredibly in Japan, and only 5 games were released for it. A few others as well, and we'll get to those in a little bit. So let's do the unboxing. First of all, let's just slide this off. And here we go. Here's the styrofoam. We take that off. And then we get into the instruction manual. And this is all from 1989. And as I say, NEC really thought this would be the continuation and the successor to the PC Engine. And let me say, I'm more upset than anybody that this didn't take off and it didn't do well. I was really hoping it would. When I was looking in the New Type magazine, I was like, oh my god, look at that machine. It looks so powerful. And that brings us to this right here. This is what it looks like. And I want to say something. I picked this up 11 years ago for $200 US. And now it's worth around $400 US. Give or take. So here's the machine itself. What a machine. Look at this thing. Look at this. With the Super Grafx logo on there. And I said in my last review, when I first saw this machine, I was like, oh wow, do the controllers go into here? Does it, does it connect 4 different controllers? And then I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, oh, it has 6. You can flip these open and you can put 6 controllers in. No, it doesn't work that way. You put them in the front right here. And here's the power cable will go right in the back. Cards go in here. Right, they fit right into here. And the one thing I want to say is, All regular PC Engine games play on this. And also, you can attach at the back a PC Engine Super CD-ROM 2, and as long as you have the card in here, it'll play. So it's fully backwards compatible with the PC Engine library. We're talking hundreds of PC Engine games could play on this thing. It could. So, okay, there's the machine itself. Here is the controller. A standard PC Engine controller. Obviously, you have your turbo buttons right here. Nothing super special. And your AV cables right here. And right over here, the power adapter that plugs right into the wall. It's an awfully big one. So we got that stuff out of the way. Now it's time to talk about some of the games. Some of the very few games that were released. Were they great? Were they amazing? Were they Super Grafx worthy? They were not bad. So here we go. Here's the first one I want to show. And it is the Super Grafx version of the arcade game Ghouls and Ghosts. This is a phenomenal game. And that's a little slipcase there. And you open it up that way to reveal the game. And we'll open that up. And there is the game itself on a mini credit card size card. What's the game like? It's a really faithful adaptation to the arcade game. And it's very, very tough. There's no more continues like there is in the Genesis version. It starts you right from the beginning of the stage or the halfway mark. It doesn't start you from bosses anymore. I was playing this game and I was like, oh my god, I'm a little bit rusty with Ghouls and Ghosts. But it was fun to play this and compare it to the Genesis Mega Drive version. I think this is a very worthy version of the game, and especially with the TurboGrafx Mini coming out, this game is included. And I think a lot of people will get, have a pretty good time playing it. I was marveling at the graphics and I was like, this is pretty good. I had a really good time playing it again. And that's also another reason why I wanted to do this review, was this just so I could play some of these games again and capture some of the footage in high definition. When I originally reviewed the Super Grafx 11 years ago, I didn't have capture technology like I do now. I had to, get this, take my video camera and record the television screen. So back then I was filming it and zooming in so it looked widescreen, and that had some terrible results, but it was all I could do 11 years ago, and I was really excited about showing some of the games. Okay, the next game we're going to show right here, Grandzort. And this is known as Mado King Grandzort in Japan. It's based on an anime series. It ran for about 41 episodes. How is the anime? It's okay. Typical children fare for Japan at the time, where a young boy goes to the moon when the moon is colonized. He gets involved with a group of people. He's given a giant mecha called Grandzort and gets involved in a huge battle that takes place. Typical anime fare at the time, but really charming. How is the game? The game is a side view action platforming game. It's very simplistic. You can transform between 3 different robot modes, and each robot mode has a different way of attacking. And one of the robot modes, you can float in the air. I personally like the green robot myself because you can float and you can shoot. I found I could defeat most bosses and most enemies easily with that version of the mecha. So I think it's an okay game, but I gotta say, back in the day, when I saw that artwork, I was like, I've gotta play that game. And 11 years ago, I finally got it and I started playing it. I was like, oh, this is novel. It's not as great as I was imagining it to be, but it's pretty good. Some of the bosses are really big. It's got some really nice scrolling. That's what you'll see a lot in these games, a lot of scrolling side view levels with extra parallax. So that's their claim to fame. Okay. Here we go. Battle Ace. Battle Ace. How is this game? Let's show you some of the artwork there. I do like that. It's a little model of a ship there. This really reminds me of Top Gun on the original NES, where you're flying and the levels are scrolling, or should I say scaling towards you with sprites. And so all the enemies are coming towards you, and you're trying to shoot them out of the air, basically with your crosshairs. It's alright. It's really, honestly, I can only play it for 10 minutes at a time. I get really kind of bored with it. It's just the same kind of thing over and over again. I know what they were trying to do, but I don't think it really shows the power in any capacity of the Super Grafx. It just seems like a regular PC Engine game. There's nothing super graphically exciting about it in any regard. So, yeah, it's okay. Things scroll towards you, missiles scroll towards you, you shoot them, you move on. It's that kind of game. But the next game I really like, and that is 1941 Counterattack. It's an overhead shooting game from World War II, and it's a lot of fun. You get power-ups, you get more planes, and you can do super power attacks against your enemies. I had a lot of fun with this game. This is one game that I really do like quite a lot. Next up, Enjin, a side view shoot 'em up style of game. How is this? This is one of the better games on the machine. Soundtrack is really fantastic. The graphics are really detailed, really huge bosses. I like this game. I think it's really, really good. Let's have a look at some of the arts and things on the back and a little bit more of the close-up there. I think this is a worthy game on the machine. I think it's really worth playing. If you like side view shoot 'em up style of games, a lot of power-ups going on there. Very difficult though, very difficult. But that's a lot to do with this era of video gaming. Now, the Super Grafx could also play a few other games that weren't Super Grafx games per se, but one of them is labeled as a Super Grafx game, and that is Darius Plus. Darius Plus is one of the Darius games. It's a side view shoot 'em up where you're fighting against wave after wave of enemies. And how is this game? It's okay. It's a regular PC Engine game, but it does have the labeling as being a Super Grafx game. You put it in the Super Grafx, you get some enhanced graphics, some enhanced parallax scrolling. Not that big of a deal. Now, the one game that I do have that is based on Darius Plus is Darius Alpha. Now, the thing I want to say about Darius Alpha is this is quite literally what I'm holding in my hand, and why there's plastic on it, is one of the most expensive PC Engine games to date. This game roughly goes from about $1,000 to $2,000 depending on where you're looking. Realistically, it should be about $1,000, $700 to $1,000, but it goes up there. Some people, price it extra high. Now, what makes this game so expensive is it's a mail away. Only around 800 were made, so you got little coupons that you got from other games, and you send them away, and they would send this to you in the mail. So it's a very hard to find game, and it has enhanced graphics on the Super Grafx as well. Now, okay, so we've talked about the prices. How have the overall prices changed on some of the games? As I say, on the machine itself, it's doubled in price in 11 years. Darius Alpha has always been expensive. Not a lot of people will get this for the Super Grafx. I have it. Enjin. I think I paid around $40 to $50 11 years ago. It's worth around $200 now. So that's the going price. Maybe you can find a deal here and there, but that's what it's going for. Some of these prices on the Super Grafx games are a little silly. 1941, speaking of silly, is some of the highest prices for a Super Grafx game. I think I paid maybe around $50 to $60 back in the day. It goes for around $270 depending on where you're looking. I'm basing it on the lowest prices on some eBay prices and some Yahoo auctions. So $270 if you want to play 1941. Ridiculous. Okay, you get a bit of a break with Battle Ace. Battle Ace is one of the games that has not gone up in price. I paid around $25 for it. I think you can get it for around $30 to $40 now. It's, as I say, sometimes when a game is average to play, it has an average price, thankfully, and that's not always the case, but it is, thankfully, that way with Battle Ace. Granzort. I must have paid around $40 back in the day for this. It goes for around $90 now, so it hasn't jumped up too much. It's doubled in price, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. I think I should say that, and And for Ghouls and Ghosts, I paid $50 to $60 11 years ago. It goes for around $120 now. So if you want to jump in on this game, that's the price. And you can probably get it for a little bit cheaper depending on where you look for it. So yeah, it's an interesting system. It's a system that was dead on arrival. It really, really was. And there were some other games in development for it. There was Strider by Capcom. That was in the works for the Super Grafx, but it disappeared and ended up becoming an arcade card game for the regular PC Engine. And so it's really sad that the machine just never took off. This was supposed to take on the Super Famicom and the Mega Drive. And do you know what it did? It failed hard. It failed extremely hard. But the one thing is, it's got a real place in history with me. I think it's a beautifully charming machine. How it looks, I think it's so unique. You'll never see a machine like this made ever again. Everything's sleek now. This is like such a strangely manufactured beast, and I love it. I love it. I love the Super Grafx logo. I have a little bit of charm and a little bit of nostalgia for all of the games that were released for it now. I love the Ghouls and Ghosts on there. I love the Grand Zort. Battle Ace, even as terrible as that is, has a special place for me. 1941, Aldines, obviously the Darius Alpha and Darius Plus. It's pretty neat. And you know what? What the possibilities could have been with this machine if they had handled it right, if they had brought out enough software on launch and really pushed it a little bit more. It could have taken on the Super Famicom and the Mega Drive. It's potential. It could have happened. But you know what? It didn't. And now it's a thing of dated history, but beautiful history for sure. So anyways, guys, until next time.